from hell killed 3 Johns with fentanyl and callous robbery scheme.
Prosecutors accusing 36-year-old Tabitha Bundrick of targeting at least 4 victims in Upper Manhattan and Washington Heights.
She robbed them of personal belongings, including their phones, money, and sneakers.
They say she would purposely offer the victims fentanyl-laced drugs in order to incapacitate them. In July, Bundrick took a plea deal where she was sentenced to 13 years in federal prison for possession of a controlled substance in relation to the druggings. Today in state court, for the first time, she faced 3 felony murder charges.
Back in 2023, I caught the story of Rebecca Auburn out of Central Ohio, who was charged with 4 counts of murder and 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter for drugging and robbing men in the same exact fashion. They were calling her a serial killer. And I think the term is accurate because a serial killer is someone who preys on a certain type of victim, and someone with enough sexual desire to pay strangers for sex, which is often risky, is definitely a type. A hooker from hell. Well, if she was a hooker from heaven, she'd be a wife. Am I right or am I right, fellas? Killed 3 Johns. There's not a lot of chuckles in this story. I got to get them where I can find them. When she fed them fentanyl to knock them out and rob them, leaving 1 victim dead with his pants at his knees, Manhattan prosecutors charged Wednesday. Prostitute Tabitha Bundrick, 38, is accused of carrying out the calculated and callous scheme that targeted at least 4 victims across Upper Manhattan, running off with their phones, sneakers, clothes, and cash, according to the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. Bundrick was in custody at the same time of the new charges and is already facing a federal prison sentence after pleading guilty in August to drug distribution charges tied to the same crime spree. Busy woman. She is now facing 3 state murder counts and related charges. That drug distribution charge already tells me she's in these streets working things from all angles, not just prostitution. Prostitution might not even be her most lucrative hustle. She doesn't care about an unsatisfied customer because guess what? If she thinks she can make more money robbing you than sleeping with you, she's going to rob you. And then there's that false sense of security that comes with men when they're in a room with a woman and they think they can physically overpower so they don't have anything to worry about. But in all actuality, she's the apex predator. I want to be very clear to those who think they can get away with drugging and robbing unsuspecting victims. Working with our law enforcement partners, we will uncover and prosecute this conduct, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg said in a statement. Wait a minute. I sure hope DA Bragg didn't spend too much time putting that small statement together, because it's never going to happen. As long as there's ass being sold, somebody's going to come up dead every once in a while. Whether ass is sold for a premium or ass is sold for pennies on the dollar, ass is always going to be sold. The escort's deadly reign began on April 30th, 2023, when she convinced Mario Paullan, 42, and his pal to come back to an apartment. These are grown men where they trade cash for sex. Manhattan Assistant District Attorney Daphna Yaron said during her arraignment. Now, peep game, because she's more than comfortable inviting not 1, 2 guys, because she knows the 3 of them are going to walk in, but it's guaranteed she's going to be the only one that walks out.
In the case of Mario Paullan, prosecutors say Bundrick offered him and a friend sex for cash. They say the 36-year-old then lured the 2 men to an apartment where she convinced them to snort fentanyl that Bundrick allegedly pawned off as cocaine. The next morning, the surviving victim woke up to Paullan dead next to him, their belongings gone with no recollection of what happened.
Taking strange drugs from a stranger you're paying to have sex with is even more dangerous than actually having sex with the stranger. I mean, you're paying for everything else. How come the drugs are free? Drugs are never free. I don't do drugs. That's why if someone were to offer them to me, it'd be an immediate red flag. But if you're on that stuff, or if you're in a diminished state of mind, i.e. your dick's too hard to think straight, then you probably just think it's great customer service. Paullan died at the scene, and the pal woke up in an empty apartment next to his friend's body. She said, damn, that's messed up. Now, if you would have woke up to your friend alive and well, you would have both been like, yo, she robbed us, she got us. Sometime down the line, you'll learn to laugh at it and you'll treat it as a lesson learned. But she's out here killing people. He's never coming back. That is all the surviving victim remembers, snorting 1 time, the prosecutor said. The next thing he remembers is he wakes up alone in the apartment before his friend, who was laying there motionless, he can't wake him up. 5 months later, Bundrick met up with Miguel Navez, 39. She got another one, and the pair went back to his Washington Heights apartment, where she fed him fentanyl-laced drugs, according to the district attorney's office. That fentanyl levels the playing field. It doesn't take a lot to get you to a point where she can do whatever she wants to you. Days after that encounter, Navez's brother found him dead with his pants around his knees and many of his personal belongings cleaned out. Lauren said the prostitute allegedly followed the same scheme on February 25th, rinse and repeat, 2024, killing Abrihan Fernandez inside his Upper Manhattan apartment. She was caught on surveillance camera going in and out of the building, hauling away several giant laundry bags. You're killing people for all this material crap. It's not like cash, or you might get some jewelry and a watch or two or something, but there's nothing in those laundry bags, I promise you, that's of any immediate value, including 4 pairs of sneakers. Prosecutors allege you killed somebody for all this stuff. She was arrested on March 5th on initially only robbery charges. This has to be the most devastating way for your family to find out that you were into prostitutes, whether it was the first time or the 100th time. It's still not something that you tell your mom that you're doing to fill in your weekends. What could have possibly happened to him, officer? Well, apparently he loved his hookers. Unfortunately, this one didn't love him long time like the other one. Bundrick's lawyer, public defender Eric Burst. So you mean to tell me you could only get a public defender after all the material possessions and the trinkets that you robbed people for after you killed them, all the lives you destroyed? You didn't manage to be able to squirrel away enough cash to afford a real lawyer. Claimed his client is not the cold-hearted individual or calculated killer that the prosecutors believe her to be. Instead, she's someone who's overcome a lot of brokenness, adversity in her life, said Burst, who said Bundrick is mentally ill and is a child sex abuse victim. Give this man an Emmy. Bundrick, dressed in a tan prison suit, was remanded to Rikers Island. She was hit with a 13-year sentence for the federal drug charges. Bragg called the defendant's alleged actions extremely calculated and urged other possible surviving victims to come forward. Unfortunately, there may be more dead victims also. This callous behavior allegedly led to the deaths of 3 people. I think there's more. He said she faces 25 years to life if convicted on the new indictment. Of course, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I'd love to hear your opinions on this. It doesn't matter how she arrived at this conclusion. It matters that she's a monster today. Even through the most adverse of circumstances, it's up to you to wake up and choose the person that you want to be. Some people choose to struggle against it and come up out of it, and some people choose to embrace it and become, well, her.